Hello and welcome to World Talks. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. Hungary's political shift after a landslide election victory for Peter Magyar's TISA party is already reshaping expectations in Brussels and Kiev, particularly around a stalled €90 billion EU loan for Ukraine and Budapest's future alignment with EU policy. The question now is how far Hungary's new leadership will recalibrate its stance on Kiev, Moscow and European unity. We're now joined by Victoria Voytsitska, energy expert, International Center for Ukrainian Victory. Good to have you with us. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So with this landslide victory, it does present quite a change. What do you think the immediate impact will be of those relations between Kiev and Budapest?
Well, I can tell you for sure that for very many Ukrainians, the defeat of Orban, and for us it's actually a defeat of Kremlin and its influence on one another European country, was a great surprise, really a moment of joy for very many Ukrainians. And we do hope that finally with the change of government and with the change of parliament and the key figures in Hungarian politics, we will turn back to the times of friendly neighboring relationship with the country from the European Union, who will actually act as a friend and not as someone who was trying for all those years since the start of especially full-scale invasion to block all the necessary and very important decisions that European Union was considering when it comes to providing military support, financial support, humanitarian support to Ukraine. So we do hope that there will be a considerable change, I would say 180 degrees change in the politics and the relationship between Hungary and Ukraine.
Yeah, and one of those changes will be, as we kind of alluded to already, that very critical €90 billion loan. We have some quote from Peter Magyar already. Now, he essentially says that there has been an opt-out that was decided in December of a meeting of European leaders, but he also said that he wouldn't necessarily be in the way anymore, so no contributions directly from Hungary. So what do you make of this change in tone? How quickly could that, in your mind, then finally give Ukraine what it needs? Well,
from the pure technical point of view, Peter Magyar and his party has to actually get legally into the power in order to make necessary decisions at the EU level when it comes to unblocking the so needed €90 billion of the long-term loan to be provided to Ukraine. I totally understand, and we all here understand, the scrutiny in which the Hungary, the country, has ended up under Orban, and the fact that it hasn't been receiving for already quite a substantial period of time the financial support from the European Union has certain impact, negative impact on the ability of Hungary to participate in the aforementioned long-term €90 billion loan for Ukraine. But the most important part is not the participation, is actually unblocking the release of the funds under this long-term loan, approval of it in itself, and second of all, the release of the funds. And we do hope that it will happen soon enough, while we are trying to find the short-term solutions, the short-term funding, get the short-term funding from other European countries in order to cover for the costs that we are incurring during the wartime on a daily basis. So we hope there will be no more blockages, and the solution will be presented when the Magyar and his party will get legally, officially into power.
All right. And also, I want to get your thoughts on your expertise as an energy expert. There's some reports coming through that there have been some power losses at the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant. That's not the first time, but tell us your assessment of that and how dangerous this is in the latest that we're hearing there.
I would look at it and would recommend to look at it from the geopolitical point of view. Kremlin has lost elections in Romania, Moldova, now in Hungary, and the only one true, really strong card that it is trying or will be trying to use in order to influence the decisions that are made at EU level is the card that is called Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant. Basically, Kremlin has returned to blackmailing the whole European continent with attacks on the critical energy infrastructure that provides the security for the operations of the nuclear power plant. Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant that was occupied was an act of actually first in the history of humankind nuclear terrorism attack and occupation by Russia back in 2022, and it is still under the occupation. So while losing the battles on the on certain European countries in certain areas of Europe and in European Union, Russia is coming back to the nuclear blackmailing. But we need to understand that Zaporizhzhia's nuclear power plant is not operational. It's right now in the so-called cold shutdown mode, which actually limits the risks of nuclear accident to the minimum. At the same time, the nuclear power plant, in order to maintain its integrity, has to have access 24/7 to the electrical grid, which actually is controlled by Ukraine, and we're providing the electricity to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in order to keep it safe. So what Russians are doing, they're just raising the bar and trying to use this nuclear power plant as a blackmail against European Union, against Ukraine as well, while being, I'm sure, quite unhappy about the results of elections in Hungary.
All right. And also, I mean, the power has now been restored, but nevertheless, 13 incidents since the invasion. Real quick one, just a quick take on one more question. Energy. Peter Magyar also has said that he would like to, as much as he can, diversify our energy mix for Hungary, looking at pipelines, etc. How successful, how quickly do you think he'll do that?
I'm sure that he can do it quite fast. The European Commission and European countries have been quite open in terms of providing the alternative routes for example, crude oil being delivered to the Hungarian oil refineries instead of Druzhba, which transmits the Russian crude oil to Hungary, use other alternatives, ways and routes and the supplies. It's possible, it's doable, all it takes is the political will.
All right, so thanks so much there for sharing all those insights. Really important. Victoria Voytsitska there, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. It concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.